Okay, so this passage starts with line 687, fertur in abruptum. So the subject of this is the mons, which means a mountain or a mass. And the mons is being described by the adjective improbus, which means uncontrollable or something like that. So the uncontrollable mass, the improbus mons, is carried, that's fertur, passive of ferro, is carried. In abruptum means something like headlong, it's carried straight down with a magno actu. So that means with a big impulse, with a big movement, something like that, with a great impulse. And it exsultat, it bounds over the solo. Now this has nothing to do with the adjective solus, meaning alone. This is a noun in the ablative case, meaning the ground. Right? So exsultat solo means it bounds over the ground. And then we have a participle involvens, which is still describing the mons, the mass. And it means sweeping away, secum, with it, silvas, which are woods, like forests, and armenta, which are herds of cattle, and viros, men. So that's the end of the simile, right? Comparing Turnus to this sort of mass of rock falling down from a cliff. And then the word seek transitions us out of the simile. So in this way, or thus, per disiecta agmina, through the scattered battle lines. Agmina are battle lines, and disiecta is a perfect passive participle, meaning having been scattered. Turnus ruit, Turnus rushes towards the walls, ad muros, of the city, urbis, where the earth, ubi terra, is soaked. Madet means is soaked or drips or something like that, with fuso sanguine. Now sanguine means with blood, and fuso is a perfect passive participle agreeing with sanguine. And it means having been shed or having been spread out. So the idea is that the earth is wet with shed blood, and plurima means abundantly, something like that. The earth is or soaked deeply, something like that. So plurima means abundantly or deeply. And the aurae, the breezes, hiss stridunt. Stridunt means sort of make a hissing noise, with spears, hastilibus. And significat. Now again, Turnus is still the subject. So Turnus signals manu with his hand, and at the same time, et simul, he incipit, that means he begins to speak, literally with a great mouth, magno ora, but this is really referring to his voice, so with a loud cry, magno ora. And then this is what he says. He says, parcite iam, which parcite is an imperative. So it means something like hold off now, keep off now from fighting. And he's addressing the Rutuli, that's vocative, Rutulians. Those are his people. And he says, you Latins, vos Latini, inhibete, restrain, hold back your tela, your spears. And then he says, quae cumque, that means whatever fortuna est, whatever fate there is, or whatever outcome there is. You could translate fortuna here as outcome. Whatever outcome there is, mea est, it is mine. And then he says, verius, and you can imagine est here. That means it is more verus, it is more proper, it is more good. And then you get an accusative and infinitive. So it is better, it is more proper, for me, me, that's the accusative, to luere foidus, to literally atone for the treaty, or sort of, yeah, the idea is to pay the price that the treaty demands, something like that. You could say to atone for the treaty, literally to sort of clean the treaty, for you, pro vobis, on your behalf. And then unum is going with me. So it is better for me alone to atone for the treaty, to pay the price demanded by the treaty for you. And it is also verius, it is also more proper, for me to decernere ferro, which means to resolve the issue, to decide the issue with my sword, ferro, literally with my iron. And then, that's the end of his speech. And then what happens next is in line 696, and you have two verbs here, discessere and dedere. Now these are both poetic forms. It should really be discesserunt and dederunt. So these are third person plural perfect tense verbs. So omnes medii are the subject, all those in the middle departed, discessere, and gave space, dedere spatium. They made room. And then we go on to the next page. This is line 697. Here we are. At pater Aeneas, but Father Aeneas. He's the new subject. Now that doesn't mean he's a priest. It means he's a kind of father figure for the Trojans. So, but Father Aeneas. Then we have an ablative absolute with the name, nomine, of Turnus, that's genitive, turni, having been heard. With the name of Turnus having been heard. And you could translate that having heard the name of Turnus. And then what does he do? He deseret, he deserts, he abandons, et muros, both the walls, and also he deserts, et deseret, the sumas arches, he deserts the high citadel, I suppose. Arches is plural here, but it really means the citadel as a whole. And he praecipitat, he casts away, he abandons moras omnis. Now omnis here is a poetic form for omnes, so it's agreeing with moras. So a mora is a delay. So he casts aside all delays. He rumpit omnia opera. He breaks off or interrupts all tasks, all opera. This refers to the siege works that are going on. And exultans laetitia. Exultans means exulting in, leaping up in joy, in laetitia, and this is ablative, meaning with joy. He intonat, he sort of thunders. Horrendum here is being used as an adverb, so he thunders terribly or horribly with his weapons, armies.